Let me tell you about the December that nearly killed our business. Early years, maybe 2011 or 2012, November had been mental, one of our best months ever. Then December hit. Design work just went off the edge of a cliff, it just stopped. No budget left, we'll look at it in the new year, let's reconnect in January. I'm sure you've heard them all. Revenue dropped to about a quarter of what was needed, yet we still had salaries, rent and everything else to pay. And I remember sitting in the office, looking at the numbers, looking at the bro and thinking, this doesn't look great. But the stupid thing is, I just accepted it. That's how December is, I told myself. Clients wind down, budgets are spent, there's nothing we can do about it. And how many times have you said that to yourself? What a load of rubbish that is though. Q4 doesn't have to be 2.5 months of actual work. December doesn't need to be dead. You just need different clients and you just need a different approach to selling. This took us a few years to work out properly, but when we did, our business was better for it. We went from December being our worst month every single year to one that was relatively predictable. Sometimes it was even our most profitable month. How do we do that? Well, we got methodical about December and about Q4. And the first thing that we did was actually look at who needs creative work in December and in January as well. Because not everybody's winding down. Some businesses are ramping up for Christmas. Others are planning for massive Q1 campaigns. Corporate clients, well, they had annual report needs and had annual reports that were due. Event companies are planning conferences. There were so many industries that had needs. And we started targeting these specifically, but not in December because that's already too late. Now in September and October, and by December, we had work booked in. But that's only half of it. The other half is looking internally at your existing clients. And every October, we pull out what I call the client service matrix. And it sounds fancy, but it's really not. It's just a spreadsheet with your client names down one side and a list of all the services along the top. And then you just tick off what people are buying different services from you. Because most agencies only sell about 35% of what they could to each of their clients. And that's a bit silly when you think about it. And it's slightly arrogant to think all of your clients know everything about your business. So we look at each client, what they're buying, what they're not buying, and then we'd use any spare capacity that we had in the studio to properly pitch to them. Not some desperate, oh, please give us some work pitch, but a proper strategic proposal for Q1 projects. And I would have said something like this. Hey Sarah, I was thinking about your conference last March and I know the design was solid last year, but I reckon we could do something really special this year. Here's what I'm thinking. There you go. And your goal isn't just to sell today's work, it's to position yourself for tomorrow's. So here's the thing about January. January sales pipeline isn't built in January. It's built right this second in October, November and December. And while your competition is out partying or winding down for the year end, you need to be having Q1 conversations about upcoming projects. And I learned to love Q4 for this, right? Everyone's guard is down. They've got time to actually think strategically instead of firefighting, where you can have proper conversations about their business, not just their specific need that they have right this second. And 1 December back in 2015, I was at some drinks thing, some marketing event in Belfast, and I got chatting to this director of a business who mentioned that they were reviewing their agencies in January. Their current agency was getting slightly complacent. They were overservicing in some areas, underservicing in other areas, the classic Q4 problem where nobody was paying attention to the clients. So what I did was position ourselves as the agency that didn't switch off. We were planning for Q4 growth. And because of that, we won an annual contract in February because we showed up when others didn't, right? So let's talk about the elephant in all of this, right? The big elephant in the room, retainer clients. If you're not on a retainer model, December will always be that feast or famine month. When the client has bills to pay and they have to find work, they will use you to make sure they get the value from your service. Your job is to make sure you do the work and that they do see the value. And December's when you need to have that pricing conversation that nobody wants to have. If your retainers hasn't increased this year or even last year, you're effectively working for less money because cost goes up, salaries go up, everything goes up except your fees. And that is not sustainable. So what we do with my clients is start building automatic increases of about 3 to 4% annually. Not negotiable, just part of the contract. Fees increase annually in line with inflation or operational costs. Just add that to your contracts. Most clients don't even question it if you're upfront and transparent about it. But of course, you do need to be careful here as well because November and December are also when clients start to get nervous and they start to look at their costs for next year. If you've just been coasting along, if you've not been doing the work, or you've been over-servicing without showing the value, then you're possibly at risk. So what I want you to do also is to audit every single retainer client in November and in December. Are you delivering what you promised? Are you doing too much? Are you doing too little? Is the scope still right? And one of my clients recently realized that they were doing about $3,000 of free work for their client annually for just one client. And the scope had creeped up over a couple of years, and they were doing much more than they had been paid to do. So free work, not on my watch. So they had a conversation. Look, we love working with you, and we need to reset the expectations because we're doing a lot more than what we agreed initially. Here's what's in the costs, here's what's out of the cost, and here's the price for anything additional. The client was happy to pay more because, again, they were adding value and they were transparent in the costs. When we focused on smoothing out these peaks and troughs, that meant finding clients who needed work in December. As I mentioned, corporate clients with year-end requirements, retailers ramping up for Christmas and January sales, event companies planning Q1 conferences. We built a portfolio that meant December was predictable, not painful. And on the cash flow side, this is crucial. We made sure that we had enough money in our bank to have a runway through December, but also to have headroom in January and Q1, because January can be slow to get going if you haven't done the prep work in December and that there's business lined up in January. Here's what Q4 needs to look like for your agency. Right now, I want you to audit every client relationship. Who's at risk? Who could spend more? Who needs a price increase? Who needs to have a conversation? Step 2, reach out to every single prospect from the year just passed. Not with Christmas wishes rubbish, with actual value. Look, I was thinking about your Q1 plans for next year. Here's an idea that might help you. Step number 3, get your finances properly sorted. Not roughly, exactly. Know your numbers going into Q4 so that January is not a surprise. And step number 4, while everyone's winding down when they're coasting towards the year end, you need to have strategic decisions and conversations with your potential clients about next year. Because the agencies that struggle in January are the ones that switched off in Q4. The agencies that thrive are the ones that use this time to set themselves up for success. But I appreciate and I'm so respectful that you're tired. I know you want to switch off, but your competition is hoping you do exactly that. Do not give them the satisfaction. December, Q4 is not the end of your business year. It's the beginning of your next level, but only if you treat it that way, right? So this Q4, discipline is exactly what I'm helping my clients implement. This video is part of that series. And if you're serious about making 2026 different, we need to talk before January, not in January, before, because I've already secured 2 spaces of my cohort that's launching on the 15th of January. And if you want to be involved in that, if you want to grow your business next year, you'll need to speak to me soon.